It's me, Galen. Galen's got Parkinson's. This is a sort of a second setup video. It'll not be very long. You can see in front of you are the first Canadian troops. I know they look suspiciously like Americans. So, yeah, let's call them Americans because I haven't got any Canadians. So the American troops have started to enter the village, and they've taken the first buildings and are beginning to advance with the Sherman that they called up. I did random possible additional troops. There were armoured troops with the Canadians, so but the road's really bad and rubbly. How far down the road they'll get, if at all, I can't say, but that's going to be decided upon by dice throws as well. There are Germans facing them in the very first buildings. It won't be long before there is the bitter street fighting, which this battle is famous for. We're seeing a second section of the Canadian assault. These fellows have open ground to cover. Next to the Sherman is a building which the Germans have occupied, but the building in the extreme top of the picture, the Canadians have managed to reach without the Germans defending it, because the German defenders are outnumbered about 2 to 1, so they've had to be careful where they put their troops. Moving deeper into the town, there's shell craters down the middle of the road. There's a hotel opposite the shell craters, and then the red brick area is the plaza. At the moment the Canadians aren't even close to reaching that, so the Germans have taken up defensive positions around the plaza. But in the real battle this became quite a hot spot, so we'll have to see how that pans out. Here we get a shot of a few German snipers in the graveyard, with Germans occupying as many of the buildings as they're able. Again, they don't have the troops to defend everything, so their hope is they'll fight a running battle, and as positions become untenable they'll move back to the positions behind, bolstering up the small numbers of defenders and fighting the whole battle piecemeal. So in the same way that the Canadian American forces, through a random event to see if they got any armour, the Germans had an option, a possibility of an anti-tank weapon, and the dice throw gave them a Stug 3. So that's where they are, and then right in front of the Stug is the German headquarters. I'm going to adapt the rules. The rules I'm using are rapid fire, and to try and make the battle feel more tactical, because in rapid fire quite often if you get hit your men get a pinned marker and they can't really do very much, and casualties can be quite severe very quickly, which I don't really want. I want it to be a long street battle, so I'm going to give troops the option of withdrawing instead of taking casualties, but it means they'll lose the ground. So a bit like perhaps a game of chess or drafts, checkers if you're in America. So each terrain piece would be like a square. So if you drive the enemy out of that square, you could advance into it, and perhaps we'll see how that goes. But that's me messing with the rules, and you never know when you start doing that, do you, how it's going to pan out. Anyway, I thought I'd let you have a quick peep. I know it's only short, thankfully, some of you say. And I'll talk to you when the battle starts. Okay, ta-ra, Chuck.